everybody for the KASKlezing of Maki, in the person of Maki. He was here already for a couple of days to give a workshop for the students of graphic design. And so it was an invitation from graphic design, and especially from Sarah. So I asked Sarah to maybe introduce Maki and Maki. So please give a warm welcome to both.
I don't have much to add apart from that. Yeah, Maki's part of Obeke, and there are 3 other people. Are you going to say that already?
If you say it, no, I don't.
So there's also Patrick Lacey, Benjamin Rijke, and Kajsa Staal. And they met after meeting at the Royal College, and they have a transdisciplinary graphic design collective. Yeah, so we've been working with the 2nd and 3rd year students for a week. Maybe you've seen what's going on with Instagram, but I wanted to do a special thank you to Bebe Books, who are here today, who hosted the workshop. Woo! And the installation that the students made is still visible at Vooruit, if you go take a look. And I think there will be another event. Maybe the students will put it on the KASK Instagram page when they know when it will be. Maki and Kajsa from Obeke are also part of De Leone, and they made an essential reading at the Kunstenbibliotheek, so go check it out to see further reading materials. That's it. I wanted to say also that Maki's talk is called On Child Labor, and it's a response to a student, Julie Hurtekant, I don't know if she's not here, who asked when we went to visit his exhibition in Antwerp, that Maki made with Luna, his daughter. She asked, isn't it child labor? And Maki is going to reply to that today. So thank you, Maki.
But she's not here?
No.
Ah, okay. And what's her name?
Julie.
Julie. Okay. What's her last name?
Hurtekant.
Hurtekant. So Julie Hurtekant, this is for you.
Sorry, I forgot to say that picture is there because they are collecting donations at curatorial studies also tomorrow, because they're driving with a van to Ukraine. So if you have food that's not going to go, or medication, or healthcare, any kind of sanitary towels, whatever, please bring it to that corridor. And it's tomorrow you can pick that stuff. Yes.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We know each other for a long time. That's it. Thank you, KASK. Thank you, all the 3rd and 2nd years that I had the pleasure to work with, around, inside, and about Dog's Anus for 3 days. Thank you for coming. As Sarah said, it is called On Child Labor, but there is a bit of a disclaimer here that I need to tell you. It should probably be called On My Child Labor. And it is indeed a response to Julie's question, which I completely misunderstood. I thought it was an absolutely non-critical question about working with my child. And I was there on the other side of the Zoom screen with some friends in Bremen. And after the visit and the question, and the connection was gone, they told me, wow, that was so hardcore, her question. But I didn't really understand that at all. And maybe she didn't even mean it, but my friends did. So it really made me think about what it means to work with a child. And I think it's more about power structures and someone having more power over someone else. And one example being, I can definitely arm wrestle my daughter, and I will always win. I know this. Maybe soon I will not, but at the moment, yes. Her name is Luna, and sometimes we make fake money. Would you like some? She insisted that it should be a £3 note, which doesn't quite exist, but she was a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that it was fake money, and counterfeiting is actually illegal, and she knows that. She was free to design it. We drew things together, but I guess it's mostly her direction. I mean, with her, there is always an educational element. You know, maybe some of you are parents, maybe mostly not. I see that you, but some of you I know are parents, and the relationship with the child is. I'll talk about myself, but I was this kind of parent who pushes my child on a swing, and at the same time, I'm trying to answer emails. I'm thinking that I'm quite clever because I can multitask. She's happy, and I get some work done. Those moments are completely gone. You know, these are memories that will only exist for me in theory, because I don't remember any of those. I know I did it, but I realize, okay, no, I have to focus, you know. I have to focus, but the thing is that I don't really get anything from her being on the swing. That's the selfish me thinking. At the same time, I'm listening to the radio, and they say, yeah, in England, you know, they, the children, they think that a fish is a square, a breaded piece of meat. So but that's terrible. You know, I love fish, so I thought I can educate my child and show her that a fish is not square or breaded necessarily. So I started to get her to be with me when I'm cooking, and so this one, for example, is a garfish. Just some trivia. It's interesting because it tastes really good. It's quite rare. Not rare in the sea, but it's rare that the fishmongers have it, because it's not many people know it, and so not many people ask for it. And it has green bones. Pretty good. So what I'm doing is that I'm showing her that what she eats actually comes from an actual animal. At the same time, so this is 2017. It means that she 2014. She's 3.5. This picture might be later, but anyway, we start to do this when she was 3.5, and she was really into dinosaurs, as I think many kids are. So I thought, okay, we can combine something. Fish, bones, dinosaurs, bones. Are you following me? This is the Natural History Museum in London. I think at the moment the Diplodocus is not there. And this is the first one we made. It's got chicken bones. The face is a gurnard, which is one of those red fish. And what else? Maybe there is duck. There, chicken definitely. There could be some pork. I'm not quite sure. We were not vegetarian anymore. For me, it's a little bit of a difficult collaboration, the first one, because I can absolutely see that I forced her to look and make some joints which she didn't really want to do. But she pulled it her way, because she wanted it to be a cat. So suddenly, you know, I thought, oh, come on, this is, we said dinosaur, and now it's a cat. So this one is a bit of it's a bit of a failure because of my insistence on pulling my way, and I guess she's reacting and she's pulling it her way, and so it's called Catosaurus. But I think neither of us were very happy about it, or at least I wasn't. I thought I was too much directing. Sorry, I just noticed. Is someone wearing patchouli? No? I'm just saying this to Julie because she can't smell it, but there is something. So, but maybe it's only on my way. This is the second one, which is the Diplodocus. The big bone there, we didn't eat that. It comes from an island where we went. But here, it's very crucial. At this point, she has. I decided that she takes the decisions. I am the one who cleans the bones, and she is the one who chooses what it will become and which ones to choose. Inside, I was conflicted because, as you can see, the back legs, she chose those really long bones, and I didn't agree with this. I said, no, but you have to get those articulations. And that's when I remembered, hey, but the last time I did this, and she made it with the articulations because, you know, she loves her dad and she wants me to be happy. It was not very good. So this time I thought, okay, I shut up and let her do that, thinking, well, this one won't be very good either. And then she put this tail. And I thought, wow, this is really actually very good. So I realized that I could definitely learn something. Now, this is quite presumptuous what I'm saying, because of course we can learn from anyone. But this is one of the moments when I thought that I was very... There is something with the balance, and it's also the moment when I thought, okay, but this is definitely not a real dinosaur. But I also remember that this is really not a real dinosaur. Then she wanted to make one that flies. Mammoth. Another one that kind of flies. T-Rex. Actually, she said, she didn't know the term T. Regina, but she said it is the mom, and that's the child. Which I thought was funny because, it's a little bit private, but we separated with the mother. We're in very good terms, but so I thought, but I'm doing this with her, I'm the dad, and there is no representation of the dad. It's a T. Regina. I mean, again, you know, there are moments there where I thought, but really? Are you really going to use those bones? And most of the time, I think she's quite right. Here. And then we went, I mean, we do, so, you know, research. We go to museums, and I think what's really good in London is that we have one of the first actual size models in South London. They are from the 19th century. And this is also very good to go and see, because we see how wrong we were and probably how wrong we still are. This is an iguanodon, and it's funny, you can't quite see it, but it has a bit of a rhino pointy nose. And this is because they had found this bone, but very quickly they realized that this bone was the thumb. Actually, you have in Brussels amazing iguanodons with also some mistakes and then some corrected ones. But I think the idea of a mistake is really good because it's about education, and I was wrong. It's not her education, it's education in general with each other. This is also from, it's a cafe in Crystal Palace in South London where those animals are still there, and the models. And yeah, and this have you ever seen something like this? But in the 19th century, they already had made those. But yeah, we don't know. So this is much more recent. Another thing that happened, I thought that the glue gun and the transparency and the texture was perfect for cartilage. So when she started to ask for colored ones, I said, but no, it's dinosaurs, they're not like that. And then I was reminded that, yes, these are not real dinosaurs, Dad. And again, I think her use of the colors are just brilliant. I mean, it's we sometimes don't use the bones only of things that we eat, but we sometimes go to the desert, and then this is something that we found there. So this is a little bit in the past where they were found. We're not quite sure what they are. There might be a little bit of camel, a bit of goat. And it segues into a job that I gave her. So this time, it's not a collaboration, it's a commission. I'm the client, but in fact, I was not really the client. I had a client for a graphic design job to design the logo for a film festival in the desert, where we had found this, together with Luna, because I went with her. We travel quite a lot. We like the, the road trip. That's why there is that van. We do that. We've done this across America. We've done the classic New York, Los Angeles. We went to New Zealand together, so just the two of us, and things happen. We have some jobs and exhibitions or things like this. And sometimes graphic design also, of course, that's what I'm talking about now. And the next travel, hopefully, we'll do America again, but through the Midwest. So, for example, you have Missouri or all these states that you never actually see because you always do the Florida, Vancouver or Seattle, or you do New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, stuff like that. Classic. Anyway, we want to do the Midwest one. So I was asked to design it. So I thought, I'm going to ask her to design it because she was there when we were commissioned in the desert. So I explained what it is. And Al-Kamar. And the link was that it means moon. So in terms of completely bizarre digression, or not at all bizarre, I just said, hey, moon, so you moon, maybe you should do it. She made this one. So the festival was happy. And then we went to the desert. And so you see her, she's helping for the cooking, all the different things, and I was also helping. This time we didn't have to work because all the graphic design had been done already. And the interesting moment was when she asked the curator, she had a conversation with Thomas here, who had to pay a little bit to help out. I mean, from France to fly there. I mean, lots of people were coming from Egypt or other places. It's in Jordan, sorry, I forgot to say. And she asked, but I don't think we are paying. And then the curator said, oh no, but don't worry, because your dad, he did this job, so it's part of the payment. You don't have to pay for the food or the... And she said, but he didn't do the logo, I did it. So she said, well, then maybe you shouldn't pay, but maybe he should pay. And she said, I overheard, I was there too. She said, oh, but I guess my mom and him, they made me, so that's okay. Another graphic design commission, or maybe should I say, this is not a graphic design commission, it's a illustration commission. So exhibition, group exhibitions, and I'm realizing that what's really nice is that I actually explained to her what it is. when I commissioned her, I said, well, this exhibition is interesting because there are two curators, two heads. And what's slightly uncomfortable is that out of the 13 people, well, one of them, one of the artists is a duo, and one of them was, she was not fired, but there was a conflict, and it was decided she had to quit the group show. So I'm explaining this to her, and I took the metaphor of the octopus. Imagine an octopus with two curators, so it's the heads, and all the group shows are a bit funny because the artists don't really talk to each other. They only talk to the curators, and so that's why it's an octopus. And she said, okay, I get it. So she makes this drawing, and then we agreed that that's up there behind the D. This is Eva Barto, so our friend who was, I mean, how would you say, expulsed or banned from the show? I mean, it was pretty nasty. The thing is that we still wanted her to be on the poster and the invitation if anyone was counting how many artists there were and comparing it to the illustration, so that at some point this story could still be part of the exhibition. And by the way, she's paid every time. Not much, but she's paid. She's paid in money. She has a friend. This is Lars. Lars is Swedish, and in fact, Luna is half Swedish. Her mother is Swedish. So the two of them are very good friends, but he's an adult. We're the same age. We get along, but I think he gets along more with her. And one day he said, hey, I'm making those chairs. Maybe she can help me or something. That's how he talks. So I said, well, okay, that's fine. At the time, he was a little bit homeless, so he was living in this workshop, wood workshop of a friend, and still making unbelievable work. But he was living in there, it was really cold, and so over the time of a period of 6 months, every second week, we would spend 5 hours on a Saturday with him. So I would bring Luna, I would cook so that they can only talk, work, so it's not really a collaboration with me, but it's a collaboration with another adult. I mean, again, you know, when we broadly talk about collaborations, it's very ambiguous sometimes. We call it collaborations, but yeah, sometimes it's, you know, very, very close to exploitation, or or a commission, or and this is the kind of question. These are the questions that are interesting to me because I have a practice as a graphic designer as well, and then even within that, either it could be a service or a collaboration, and it always depends. You know, the way I say what it is not necessarily what it really is, or the way I think it is, or how it's defined in the press release, or etc. But they also speak Swedish between them, so I really don't know a lot of what they talk to each other about. But in the beginning, the collaboration was very small. So Lars had cut all those pieces, triangles, and the collaboration is, well, let's see what Luna comes up with. You know, she can put them together. And she also learns that this is walnut or staple. Then we decided that it should stay there because her writing was really nice. And the collaboration is maybe just, she's not designing the chairs, but she's choosing the, she's not really learning. She's learning, but at the same time, I don't think she remembers any of it. So, you know, all the different steps, and really it's over 6 months because it's such a precise job. But she makes the decisions, and then Lars would spend 2 weeks perfecting, you know, each part. And as they are Swedish, you know, they so this is the first, maybe the first composition, the second one, the third one. So somehow they were, yeah, I mean, it's a collaboration, but how much is it a collaboration when maybe all the different combinations tend to look quite similar. Then I was just chatting with Lars, and when we came back, she had started that circle there. I mean, she was trying many things, and we thought, oh, she must be a genius. I think it's probably more that, of course, kids are very good, but she probably just thought that this is very boring. You know, she's done 3 of those already. So we thought, okay, that's nice, and there is a nice connection to the hall that we made in the workshop. Right? Then you have all these leftovers, which then were made into the next one. Sometimes she's tired. This is actually where Lars sleeps in the workshop, slept, because he's not there anymore. This is when they're discussing things which sometimes I don't understand because they are speaking in Swedish. And you know, the Swedes are very different. I am French. The Swedes, for instance, they like things, surströmming, it's rotten herring. I really wanted to like it, but it's so terrible that you know, the gag reflex is there to prevent you from being hurt. So they like these things. They like the Eurovision. The French, we don't like that. It's we're just too pretentious. So, okay, next one. She actually asked for circles, and then it is a collaboration because then maybe she would go for one circle and then start to draw. We don't know. So Lars was cutting super fast, loads of different sizes, so she could make the composition. And again, you know, it takes 2 weeks for him to work just on the seat. And this is the last one. So with all the leftovers on the right, this is the, okay, let's do the last one. It has to be quite nice. And she does this. But the good thing is that with a collaborator like Lars, who's a master crafts person, then 2 weeks later, this is done. So as I said before, we travel quite a bit, and sometimes I was invited to, as the collective, but I was invited to work in Holland, in a museum called Zuiderzee Museum, which is half an hour up north of Amsterdam, and it is a little bit like a reconstructed village. And everything from the 19th century or before, and so the church comes from one village, the wood workshop comes from another one, the coal, not the coal miners, but so all the different, it's completely artificial, but each house or each building is real, and they are moved because of the floods, historical floods, and I guess the museum is about that. It's the floods, it's the waterways, it's the canals, it's the boats, and it was the holiday, and I knew that it was about the boats, the canals, the waterways, etc. So I had to take care of my daughter for her holidays. So I said, okay, you come with me. But we're not flying to Amsterdam. We will take the overnight boat. And this is the overnight boat. So, you know, just to build up the little story that we are going to do something about the boat. And that's the tough moment because as much as I want her to be part of the project, meetings are really boring eventually. It's, I think the kids are really right about this. For me, a Zoom meeting that's more than 15 minutes, I'm doing it, but I don't like it. But we were meeting all the different craftspeople, and so the curators, Evelyn here was one, were offering I guess, a matching collaboration. It was okay, this craftsperson with this designer, and then etc. But then I asked, how about working with all of them? But the thing is that it's not as easy as this, because the curators don't actually have all that power to force people to collaborate. So that's why those meetings were not only meetings, but they are also, you have to get to know each other. And that's where I also thought, ooh, maybe I overstepped here, because did I use or overuse the cuteness of a child to try to seduce as many craftspeople as possible? This I don't know. It's a doubt. But this was the artifact that started it all, because it's a mask maker that was, for some reason, in the printer's room. And you take this, and then you take both, and then it becomes this. I mean, it took a longer time, but this is pretty much how. And every time Luna is telling things, but she talks to me from the side, and I have to tell everyone, and it's also difficult to work with adults who themselves are not sure if we're going to work together. But so this says another time, but so I wanted her to be always there, and it resulted for the exhibition of two boats. One, to us they're logical, because one is the size of the mask, because it's a mask, and then the other one is the size of a boat. Well, because it's a boat, but they're both boats. One is not the model of the other. But when the exhibition opened, it was not finished. I guess it was okay, because now you can see some of the craftspeople there, and then it was the presentation of all the different parts: wood, metal, wick, ropes, and all the. So this is how it looks finished. And this is from the front. I guess for something like this, the most important part is how it joins together. On the left, just to make sure that people are credited properly. And for this one, I don't know if I paid Luna, but she's there. And I think if you ask her, she would probably say, because I know that she doesn't think it's a real collaboration about the whole thing, but she has owned the idea that there was a rope maker, and we really didn't know how to involve him in the boat. And it was really her idea that, well, if you're on a boat, then you probably need to fish, and then you need to catch them, and then you can have those ropes, but at the same time, if it's a face, then it's hair. So I'm talking for her, but for the next project, which happened more or less at the same time, these are the words. So I told her a story, and this is what she says. Back in 1985, a man called Robbo made a graffiti. This graffiti was under a bridge in London. It lasted for 34 years. Until in 2009, a man named Banksy sprayed over it. Graffiti writers, for this reason, were not happy because the Robbo graffiti had been there. Actually, I wrote that. There a long time. Robbo himself wasn't happy either. He was retired, so he went over it. After that, Banksy went over his care on until Robbo died. Robbo died because he fell off a ladder by accident. After the accident, Banksy had a copy? Yes, copy of the first one. Right. You have children. Yes, so I think the story for me was about was about graffiti, which I didn't really do when I was younger. But I got interested in this story, the fact that it was going over and over and over and over, mainly because I saw Luna frustrated drawing something, and then she scratched over. I think we all do this a little bit. When we're not happy about our own drawing, then we just destroy it completely, so no one can ever see it, and we're so, so miserable and sad. But I said, no, don't do it, knowing that I do it too. I get frustrated. So let's together not be too precious about those things. So she chose a moniker, which was LM, which is Luna Maki. I did tell her maybe it's better to choose something that is really not related to our names, because this is illegal. But she was not having it. So LM, and then so. This happens either before we get to school, because there's this place on the canal where we can quickly do one. In the beginning, I had to help her because the pressure is actually too strong for a child's finger. But eventually, she learned how to do it with 2 fingers. But what's more important is that once she does this, and this is her design, really. I don't do. It's covered, and then she covers it, and then it's covered. She covers it, and then it's covered, and then it's covered, and then it's covered. So I said, but how do we can do this everywhere? And she somehow decided only 3 places. So I'll show just 2, but we've never seen anyone, of course, spray on hers. But it just became this game of, we were ready to do another one, but if it's not covered, then we don't. These were, I don't know, rules that came. And it's quite, every time it's, there's a little something that's surprising for me. And I must say, it's a little bit strange, but when you look at a butterfly, the butterfly knows how to fly somewhere, but you don't know where it's going. And it's a little bit like this with Luna. I don't know what she's going to do next, but it's really pleasurable to look at it. And I'm the one, who's carrying on the bike. Until one day, she did this. It says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. She had just seen Mary Poppins. And I let her do it, but I thought, oh, come on, let's be radical here. Let's just continue until the end to LM and covered, LM covered, LM covered. She said, no, I just want to do this. Covered. And then the next time I said, no, we should just go back to LM. I think it's, conceptually, it's better. And that's when she said, I think I don't want to do it anymore. I want to retire like Robo. So she's now retired. A receipt for a fine in the Paris metro. The father is standing in an underground corridor smelling of a constantly updated communal fart of commuting bodies using the metro to go back and forth to jobs, most found meaning in money, and therefore their biannual holidays of respite. Next to the father is the daughter, her face at an even worse level of the commuter's bums. Origins of the odorants, remnants of human-made wind, giving unsolicited olfactory information of the insides of strangers. The daughter is still young enough to analyze smells from an objective perspective and hasn't decided whether it does indeed stink. The daughter is wondering why the all-powerful adult next to her, the best person and her personal favorite among humankind except the mother, who is at the very exact same height, shows signs of anxiety she barely recognizes. The father has worked all his life to free himself from the constraints of obligation. By this he means having the choice to say no. No, he won't obey to a god. No, he doesn't need a job he dislikes. No, he can walk away from boring conversations. No, he won't go to war for a government he won't vote for and certainly won't vote against as it is fashion. No, he won't queue. No, he won't be obliged to be physically constrained in prison, therefore abiding the law, the sad reality of freedom somehow. The father is old, but he feels young. He looks at his daughter and smiles, a disfigured rictus, as if to claim everything is a mistake and they will soon resume their journey. The people in green uniforms have stopped the father and the daughter. They have asked them to stay against the wall while arresting other humans who join the position. Some protest, some try to go through the barrage of bodies, but the uniformed humans are prepared and, similar to a rugby team, possess different body shapes for the situation. The big, muscly ones, a head taller than the ones with electronic fine printing machines, are a wall. The people standing know why they must obey, as the antisocial behavior of traveling without a ticket in the French metro costs millions to the honest population. The father thinks fast. He has a valid ticket. In his wallet are 3 reduced-price tickets for children and 7 for adults. Only his own has been franked by the electronic gates because the reduced tickets were demagnetized. Add to this that in the UK, children go for free. He could use a thick English accent to prove he doesn't quite know the customs of this beautiful city of Lumière. He brought his daughter to visit for the first time. He knows, however, that his daughter will contradict him and she'd be right to find his accent amusing and would tell the controller in minute details of the countless times she has visited Paris. Nevertheless, if intentions are different from facts, the uniformed humans are humans and would perhaps warm to the story that indeed he possessed 3 tickets that didn't work, that the entrance he went through wasn't womaned because of automatization, and oh my, where is this robot replacing of humans going? Luckily, you and I still have jobs artificial intelligence won't be able to do, or come to think of it, they probably will. Yes, he could have bought another ticket from the machine or even used an adult ticket, but officer, as anyone else here, we just tried to get to point B using the fantastic transport system, an engineering miracle of efficiency, which, let's admit, is here to serve the humans to stay the least time within its corridors, platforms and trains, and allowed to visit museums or quickly go home to the arms of their beloved families. The father is going to argue with friendly bullet points. He's old enough to know this should be said in a calm and friendly voice with a smile. He identifies the boss. She's young, of African origin, probably 3rd or 4th generation, and unlike most people who do this job, good looking. The father backtracks the last thoughts and is happy nobody heard him think. He fights these terrible preconceptions that young people are more tolerant, less conservative, more human, able to listen to stories. His heart sinks at how stupid he is, thinking of the shared non-whiteness between her, for once empowered and the boss of an otherwise very male and white team, and him, someone mostly called Jackie Chan on any street. Surely, she knows at first glance that her father, despite being born in France like her, was at school the Chinese of his class, only hanging out with the Arabs and the Portuguese. Although Alexei, while being Portuguese, was already at 6 years of age the most handsome of the school, allowing inherent racist thoughts by all other kids to recess and allow him the godlike status he probably still enjoys. Alexei, what have you become? And to add shame to injury, he even flirts with the idea of using his daughter's cuteness to get out of this forced custody situation. The daughter has been looking at her father all the while and has guessed it all. She hugs him as if to say, well, we are guilty, or rather you are. So do bite the bullet and be the father I need. It's from a book that is describing the content of my wallet for many years, such as a fine that I got from a metro trip. And I commissioned Luna to design the cover. So you can see the graffiti influence there. Now there's, so she designed the front and the back illustration for the price. She's been paid.
She appeared on a white Vespa with a golden helmet, a perfect sunrose crowning her when she gracefully took it off. Her hand slid down inside the breast pocket of her leather jacket. You see the heptagon coin between her fingers. She shows you the familiar profile of Elizabeth II. She solemnly kisses the Queen, the sun disappearing between their lips. She flicks it in the air and you truly see it spinning in slow motion. As it lands, she shows you the Queen's been transformed into a well-dressed frog.
So things like this, it's a little bit in contrast with what happens in life where there is no real deadline. At some point we had mice. I was a little bit stressed about having mice because, well, they're pests. But suddenly, I also remember that Luna was asking for a pet. And between pest and pet, there is only one letter. So our mission was to now catch the mice, or a mouse, for her to keep as a pet. So we tried to be quite inventive with the... I didn't let her watch internet because there are terrible traps to kill, not to catch. I've seen some of those. It's very disturbing. But all of those were very fun and interesting to build, but none of them worked. It's actually the simplest that worked. It's just vegetable oil. But unfortunately, when we washed the mouse, for some reason it died. I mean, apparently it's So we went back to our place where she used to write on the walls, and she wrote on the wall one more time to bury an unnamed mouse, and it was very important that we don't give it a name. This one is also quite efficient. there is a wire in the middle of the cardboard circle, and because you can have, above the line itself, which is structurally sound, some peanut butter, and they get greedy and they want to get, the ones on the, and then they fall into it. So we made a little house and a little pet, actually quite cute, but also died. Actually, 3 of them died, and the last one disappeared. What is a little bit suspicious is that the last one disappeared when she wasn't at home. But she trusted me and said, "Well, maybe you're telling the truth." It disappeared. It really disappeared. I think it was a tiny one, and for some reason, I didn't know how much they could squeeze through the tiny holes or something. And at the same time, Hatto Press, which is a small Riso publisher, contacted us to, it's completely unrelated, but they wanted for their series of just like a small fanzine of 16 pages, they said, "Well, we want you guys to do something." And we said, "Oh, that's perfect, because we have a story." And so the fanzine is called Come Back, Don't Come Back, and tells the story of our little adventure with the mice. When we found the little sesame seeds, which were not sesame seeds. So we drew that. I knew that with Riso, what could be fun is to use all the different colors, and she was part of that, obviously, with the drawing and the deciding of the illustrations. So come back, don't come back. Merchandise. She made some drawings of the 3 dead ones. And a little, don't know, it's in the shop, a little installation with actual traps. So, and we went to get those, we cut those circles in the, when you want to sell your house, there are those, they're perfect because they're corrugated plastic and you can put your wire through. So for this, I don't know, for me the lesson really is that when given a choice, I think I would go for the one that creates memories. I think to get rid of the mice is one thing that I would have done. But the combination of Luna wanting a pet, for me would, and for us I guess, would create a little bit more excitement. And I guess it did. It's difficult to end things, but this book is the end of the dinosaur project. It says 2014. 2021, and she probably has retired from I feel it. And as a graphic designer and publisher, I propose that I sometimes curate little shows. So I said, okay, let's make a big show where all the dinosaurs are. It's going to be a big job because you have to do all the guided tours. But we will also make a catalog, and I can design it, and I can publish it. So she agreed. And I don't know if some of you would agree, but in terms of graphic design, when you make a book, it's great, but it can also be when you finish. But I'll just list if you want to have a look. tastes like tastes like strawberries. Taste like strawberries on a summer evening. And it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and that summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm. Breathe me in, breathe me out. I don't know if I could ever go without. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high. Thank you. So do you have any questions? Maybe to start, we could, maybe the students from the workshop could start asking questions so that everyone else can join in. So Arle or Aura or Stein, Marel, got any questions? Or someone else, actually. It was just a suggestion.
Did you pay her when she designed your tattoo? And can we see your tattoo?
What tattoo?
Didn't she write a thing on your arm and then you made it into a tattoo?
Yes.
Did you pay her for that?
No, I didn't. No.
That was my question.
Yeah. I didn't expect that one. But is there a second question?
No.
Okay.
I actually have a second question. If you say that you pay her, do you pay her like directly or like into some kind of bank account so she can access when she's 18 or something?
Well, she doesn't have a bank account, but, so I do pay cash, which is quite unfortunate because the last 3 years were not very cash friendly. And I was telling Sarah that we went to this museum the other day, and she said, "Oh, look!" She came back with two things. It was one book and a box of pencil. And usually I just buy. She's used to me saying, "Okay, so which one do you want?" And then I'll just buy it. I said, "No, I want both. I can afford it. It's just that they don't take cash, so you have to. I'll give you the cash at home." So we had this transaction. In a way, I think it's quite empowering, even though I don't really believe in, it's difficult with money. But I quite like the fact that she now thinks she can afford it. It's, she did actually put £100 of her own money into the production of the dinosaur book, and but I told her that she will get those £100 back after I get my money from the production that I put, which is a little bit more than that.
It's also like it's not very equal in the sense you're suggesting her. I was wondering if there's any development in this happening in the last couple of years, and how you think this will develop in the future.
Well, what I have shown here is a selection, really, of what we do, and a lot of the more private things are not there. So that's why I was surprised by the tattoo question, because that's more something we do, and I don't think I would show it here. It's not in the same vein as but it has changed, and what I hope is that this is really the nature of collaboration, because for the workshop, for example, someone asked, but whose idea was the dog? And And it's a difficult question to answer because I could say, oh, I remember it's him, but then suddenly, the project has developed into becoming a collective one. So we could say, well, so in this sense, her suggestions are stronger, and sometimes she's also totally autonomous. Now her homework is I don't do anything.
You don't collaborate on her homework?
No, but I mean I used to, yeah, because if she has to make the model of an Anglo-Saxon village, then I already have we really are gonna do just with mud and wood and but also strong enough so that she can play with it. It's like triple usage, you know. That we spend time together, but also she gets the mark from the school, but we can also keep it to play with something else. And in a way, it's the same with the different projects that are more on my side. So hopefully we get the balance. But I also experienced a lot of things for the first time with her. Like graffiti, for example, I said I never did it. And I don't think I would have done any if it wasn't to discover this with her. And because a lot of things are like acquired taste of maybe I don't try anymore things that I don't like. I mean, an acquired taste such as oysters or cheese or amaretto, all those different. So yeah, it's. I think it's unbalanced, but I'm trying to get there. But I'm trying to get there for my personal projects, none of which I have shown really here. I mean, personal in the sense that I don't work with her. Because it's always difficult with it, you know, is a client different from a commissioner? And what if the commissioner is a friend? What if the client becomes a friend? This imbalance is constant, and it exists everywhere, right? So what I live with her, I also experience elsewhere.
I wondered, like, how did you design before she was born?
So 2 years ago she asked me, but do you do anything without me? And I really had to think hard because first I said, yeah, wait. Maybe when she did, I had one other thing but I just realized that it's also wanting, I was educated in graphic design, and I started this collective, or we started, the four of us. One of the problems with being really close to each other was that I think we became the same person. But we did this because we like collaborations, and now we don't anymore. But we collaborate with loads of other people. For me to work with craftspeople who know something that I don't at all, that's kind of a really good starting point. And she is the one at the moment, I guess because she's growing faster than I am, the collaborations are always still super surprising. So how did I do before? I think I was working with other people. But it's true, now I try to pull it more often than not towards things that if I'm proposed something, I try to see if I can involve her.
Have you ever thought maybe about what would happen if she becomes like a teenager and revolts and doesn't really want to work with you again?
Yes, in this book I also wrote a text imagining how she would be at 14, but I wrote it when she was 4. And the title of the text is Dad, You Can't. So I have imagined that. But that's why I want to be present as much as possible, because I know that it's going to be inevitable. Well, she probably doesn't want to work with me at some point faster than, you know. So I try to get the most out of her. So that's where the
Raise her wages.
Hmm?
Raise her wages if she doesn't want to work anymore.
yeah, well, she's actually quite well paid, but it's just because I'm not really well paid. So when I say, I'll give you, half of it, it's like half of not much.
Does she work with your mom?
Yeah, they do quite a lot, but I think it's more. I think Kaisa is more. Our toys are mostly homemade as well, but I think everything is. There's another range of things. Yeah, no, she does. I just received an amazing costume for her as Medusa, because it was a World Book Day yesterday, I think. So they have to come in a costume, and they made this Medusa costume. So it's
Is that work though? Is that work? Dressing up for school? Like, what's the difference, would you say, for doing
But that's my aim, that my work is not work. That everything that I do, hopefully, I'm not saying that is happening, but well, at least everything that I showed here, I was super happy to do, whether they were well paid or not. But so that's my aim, that work is that kind of thing where you just, it becomes essential. Right, to tell the story of the mouse, it's completely non-essential, but it's essential. It drives you that you have to make those. It becomes super exciting to wake up and see if the mouse is there. But we didn't know if we were going to make the fanzine. But it's if we have something to tell, then the fanzine just appeared at the right time, and we believe that maybe that's it was. It's more of an attitude. So to put as much effort in, the costume or the Anglo-Saxon village for the homework, I think it's also to counterbalance, and maybe it's also that question of value. Is the Medusa costume less important than a participation in a biennial? You can discuss it. It's almost ideally not, should be. Was that your question?
It wasn't a question, I think it was a comment, but I guess the question was what sort of line you drew between raising a kid and working with a kid. And that goes back to, I think, the theme of today, whether it's child labor or not. I'm wondering.
Yes, me too. But I must say something. So you studied at the Royal College of Art in London, master. I also did. I think you are maybe. Well, I think we study more and more, but it's more and more expensive. And so one of my plans is that by the time she's 18, she has done the whole program of a bachelor and master. So she can use that money to do something else, because she would have had the. And I'm not really joking. I think it's really possible to. I'm not going to go through the bows. I did think about it. Just every week, one of the bows exercises, and but I couldn't do it myself. So but if everything is made in the way that. I don't really make a difference. The way I was working with you guys the last 3 days, I worked the same way with her. So I hope that because imagine the fees in 8 years. That's obvious we won't be able to pay for that.
Are there kind of things that she learns from you or learns from the collaborations that she also teaches other kids, or kind of collaborations with other kids, and does she see it as work or does she see it as playing?
No, I wish she had friends, yeah. But, no, she has friends. I don't, I try not to interfere too much. It's, yeah, of course she has, sometimes if she asks that it doesn't need to be made in glass or, and then, yeah, it's, but I don't know how, because I'm not there. So, I mean, I asked her how it went, and I don't really wish it, or I think the diversity would be quite good, because and also some of the things they do I'm not really interested, so the collaboration is both ways. I don't think she's teaching anything, because I don't think I hope she doesn't see it as teaching, but just doing something together that we just take it seriously enough so that it's we care enough for it. But isn't it the same as projects in school? You know, if you feel that the assignment is coming too much from the teachers, you care a bit less, no? And there is this weird dichotomy of thinking, oh, but it's coming from her or him, or I'm not saying you think that, but I did think that when I did my bachelor, and I would put more effort into what is mine. And now that I'm saying it, I think even as a professional, maybe if I'm forced to do something a little bit more, then I would put maybe less effort now. I think in the beginning we were really trying hard, the four of us, to turn every poop into, to polish the turd of every awful starting point. And luckily we managed to get projects that were already actually quite interesting to start with, so that we could put, yeah. That was a quick digression.
Right, then maybe we can continue the discussion at the KASKlezing, but not before we put our hands together.
Ah, yes. Thank you. Can I, thank you very much. Can I just take a picture of you guys so I can tell her that she will probably be a little bit shy about it. And so I don't use social media, so that won't be on social media. But it might become a work somewhere. And so if you don't really want to be on, maybe just signal it to me. And the other thing that I often ask is that you pretend to raise your hand so that it looks like there are questions. And I mean, there were questions this time, which is amazing compared to the... Is that okay? Okay. I have to take two pictures because but yeah,
There's art students here who can teach you.
yeah, I was told what Instagram was the other day. Okay, ready? Thank you very much. Thank you, Bebe, for the workshops. Thank you, Kask. Thank you, Sarah, Oda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.